We're gonna give Mike a couple minutes here, see if he arrives. We know we don't have Alex because he's stuck in the traffic. From the crash.
We got two attendees.
Sounds like Mike. It's Mike.
Hey.
I recognize the beanie. Hi.
Hello.
I'm scared about.
Oh, there it is.
We're standing up behind me. And I think you have an official name this time.
Yay.
That looks like real wood.
Come on, guys. Oh, yes, well, that'd be nice.
Yeah, messed up the road, but. Nice.
Details of the record, I care about this.
Your wife's in town elevated complaint.
That's right.
All right, well, we know that Alex, go ahead.
So
Wait a minute.
I was gonna open the blind.
That's right.
That's okay, we can start.
I suppose those because they seem to back like overshoot on the video.
I figured it's flat light a little bit, in this winter wonderland, it's not quite as bright, you know? We're not getting the sunset. Whoa.
All right, there we go. Well, we can start. We know that Alex is stuck in traffic, so we can pledge allegiance, everybody. I couldn't remember it this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. This is the Town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen regular meeting for Tuesday, April 14th at 6 p.m. We will now do the roll call. Mike Huggins.
Here.
Amanda Cooper. Here. Alex Essen, we know is going to try to zoom in. Bridget, you can let me know when you see him. Dwayne Kaczynski.
Here.
Mary Smith. Here. Rich Barrows.
Here.
Very good. So we do have a quorum, even if we don't have Alex able to attend online. So thank you for that. You have an agenda in front of you that was provided. It was updated with an item that our town attorney Dahl had requested be added. Are there any other additions to this agenda?
I'd like to add one more item for the board to schedule an executive session to begin the town administrator evaluation process. Review.
So
Okay, for town admin review or discussion.
Yeah, just.
The eval discussion.
Set the date, yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion.
Start, Dwayne, Dwayne and Rich?
I'll second it, yeah.
Okay. Dwayne and Rich, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, so our amended agenda is accepted with that added item. I don't see any public, any members of the public here. Are there any online, Bridget?
Yes.
Okay, so members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on topics not on the agenda. Written letters will be acknowledged but not read aloud. Comments on agenda items can be submitted prior to the meeting via email at townclerk@townofgeorgetown.us. Would the party online like to make a comment?
You're welcome to type in the box if you want to submit a comment online.
Alex is here now.
Yeah.
You're saying you can hear them?
Alex is here.
Alex is here? Okay, very good, thank you.
There it is.
There it is. So no comments, Bridget?
No comment.
No comments. Okay, very good. Thank you. For presentations in your agenda, we do not have any presentations today. For financial items, there are two payable reports in your packet for review. The first one is dated March 30 to March 27. And there was a note on there, note number 2. The 10-6436Q, I had a question on this. It says this invoice was combined with another invoice and then needed to be separated. Which invoice in that category are we talking about? There's Clear Creek Supply, Lampert Hitch, and Southern Tire Mart. In that GL number 10-6436.
I want to see where you're at.
This is in your first report dated March 20 to March 27, and it is your item number 2 on your summary. And I'm just wondering in that category, which invoices were put together and then separated, because there are different companies in here and I just didn't see it. Let me show you.
Did Katie write that memo or did you write that memo? What did
Oh,
Katie get since she?
We'll ask Kasia.
She found the community center.
Okay, very good. Any other questions on the March 20th to March 27 payables? Okay, the second payable packet that you have covers the time frame March 28 to April 3rd. And did anyone have any questions on this payable timeframe? I know there were some older invoices in here, which I understand we're playing catch up on. So there was that, and then, Q, I think I had mentioned to you that I was just looking for the ACH receipts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and so I haven't seen those yet. Any comments or questions on this one? All right, very good. So moving on. Okay, moving on to minutes approval. You have in front of you the minutes from March 24th. You have a corrected, in front of you at your chair, you should have a corrected minutes packet. So that's going to be the one that includes items brought to Bridget's attention. That's going to be the most recent and most correct one. Any comments or changes for the minutes from March 24th?
So Bridget, I did give you some changes in this, but in item number 7, can I ask? And this was the professional service agreement with Safe Built. Can I ask that the amounts that Haley Albert quoted us and the time frame be included in here rather than saying in the last sentence Haley Aldrich was more expensive? Let's put those amounts down because in the summary, we had been given information
About the
that Safe
details.
Built had, yeah, so that rather than just making the assumption that it was more expensive, even though yes, that's what it turned out to be, we could actually include those pricing and their time frame, because those were the two significant issues that was shared with us at the meeting.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, any other additions or changes? Anything for Alex from you online?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 24th, 2026 minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Minutes for March 24 are accepted as amended this now. The first agenda item we have today is street sweeper approval. And Dennis, did you want to speak about this?
Yeah, I can introduce this quickly. The board approved entering into a lease agreement with United Fleet Services for purchase of a new multi-hog street sweeper back on February 10th, 2026. If you remember, the discussion was, there were two options available to us, a brand new one and a demo unit. So when we got the approval, you gave the staff the authority to spend the cap, $3,447. And our charge was to see if we could secure the demo unit and a discount. So after the approval by the board, the staff, they contacted the provider, the supplier, and they did not have a demo unit anytime available. They thought they might have one coming available from a new location. So we made the decision to wait and to see if we could get that new unit. And in the meantime, the new units would put on back orders, so we were gonna have to wait for those. So we took the approach that waiting was fine and we would be patient. We didn't need it right away. So we're at the point now where the demo units are not available to us for the discounted rate. The back ordered units, we can continue to wait at the 3,447 number, or they have a different unit with a couple different accessories and a different discount that would raise the lease rate to $3,575. The lease itself remains the same. The only change would be the monthly lease rate. The town has budgeted 41,000. Let's see if I wrote what I know. I sent that to
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of us actually,
Yeah.
like this was the.
41,364.
That's the new.
So the new cost will be 28,600, and that will be under the town's budget. The reason being is because we are instituting the lease at a later date. We are not making free payments towards that lease this year. So I'm just asking for you to confirm the approval of the lease rate at the new number, 3,575. And they will contact the provider and have that unit delivered as soon as possible.
So we're gonna have it for 9 months,
8 months.
8 months.
When would we get it?
We hope in the next week or two. Because it's on their floor, it's a grant.
Well, Davis agrees.
Or he doesn't believe you.
All right, so, any questions on this?
So the 41,000 was just for the street sweeper, correct? So we're still under that amount and there's no other equipment that was in that particular
Right,
amount? Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? All right, very good. So in your packet, you have a recommended motion. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. I move that the board of selectmen approve the new lease price of $3,575 per month for the multi-hog street sweeper.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you. All right, so that is approved. Your agenda item number 2 is the water restriction resolution. This is gonna have a lot of discussion to it. Dennis, did you want to start that off?
Yeah, I think there's some background that would be helpful, particularly for anybody that's watching on Zoom. So there has been constant communication about water restrictions. And when I say that, I mean the town manager, town administrator listserv has been talking about it for the last month, back and forth. It's become quite a hot topic between different municipalities. A couple of you have forwarded me information that has come across your social media and texts about communities that are doing that. I just saw in the news media recently that Aurora has implemented new water restrictions. I forwarded you all that news article. And then, so we thought that time was of the essence, and we wanted to get that in front of you this evening to at least start a conversation. Whenever Jerry and I are looking at these kind of things, we'd rather have something in front of you to talk about to at least start the conversation than just starting a conversation from nothing. So we did a little bit of research and boy, we found out a lot of stuff. And we found a lot of stuff from other communities, which I hope you find valuable, so you know what other places are doing. But the most interesting to me was the history of the town and what we've done in the past. And so I searched through the network and a number of file folders that we had on different water restriction issues. I looked at former town administrator file folders and tried to find out what they had done. So there wasn't a lot of information available. We found something for 2004, which I forwarded to you as well. And then, former police judge Lynette sent us an email, Georgia and I, that said, I vaguely remember a number of years ago in 2012, we had water restrictions enacted and they were never taken away or terminated. And so, I went and researched those resolutions and found in the 2012 resolution that the town, in response to a, I'm trying to remember the right term, or curtailment. There was an ordered curtailment of the town's water rights, which basically means that the town has purchased certain water rights from water resources, and that sets us up in an order of priority. And if that priority is higher in the list, then we also owe at least recognition of the other water rights that are purchased within that water resource. And if we're ordered to curtail, it applies to all of the water rights that are there, and we have to prepare for a drought situation. So as a response to that, the town enacted a new resolution of water restrictions in 2012. In that resolution, it states that when the curtailment is ended, the restriction is ended. So I sent that off to our legal mind over here, Sherry, and we also include Andrea, which is our water attorney. You met Andrea when we did the water court settlement. And then she looked at it. You have her response in front of you this evening. And then she also suggested we touch base with Tara, which is our water resource expert, and she provided an email recommendation. So with all that information said, we try to give you enough, and what Jerry and I are seeking this evening is your appetite for what you want to do in terms of a water restriction, if anything. Do you want to reenact the 2012 restrictions? Do you want to do something more strict, more lenient? And what are you looking for in terms of timing on those water restrictions?
Are the water restrictions from 2012 in here?
Yep, they're in that packet. Yeah, it'll be right on top.
For resolution number 18, series 2012. That's probably the best. That's really the best.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, right here.
Yep.
That's 13, okay.
The water resolution 13 was the one that got rid of the water restriction in 2012, and then the town came right back with resolution 18 to reenact those water
Or
restrictions.
13, 18. Here you go.
Yeah, if you find 18, that one at least has the structure.
Yep,
You know, it says, okay, problem here, here are the restrictions, there's alternate days, some other, statements about wastewater. There's some statements about, if, there's a particular situation, pardon me, and particular need, you can apply to the town for relief. So it's, I won't say it's the best structure, but it's a pretty comprehensive structure. It also references the water rights, curtailment, which we could live without, I think, if I were asked to put together a resolution here on the spot, I'd take resolution 18, I made some notes already, to be ready, and cut a few things out of it and say, good enough, but you may not be at the point of needing or wanting to do that, tonight. And I think probably it's better served by looking at all, especially from the other cities that have dug into this. See, okay, well, what are people doing now, not what we were doing 10 years ago, so.
I think that's fair because there's so much attention to this. And I don't remember who else was affected back in 2012 or whenever. But I think it's the public buy-in and the
Right.
fact that we're so concerned about, wildfire safety, firefighting efforts in order to, be able to combat anything that we have. And it's the conservation. I appreciate the budget impact that you included. But I don't think anybody here is really concerned if we, are paying more for water. That's not our point. And I know some of the other communities that are charging more depending on your use. I think it's important that we get the buy-in and the conservation efforts so that we are protected. And
Do you think we should do a community meeting? Set up something where we can see if folks care enough to come out and voice their concerns?
I'm not sure we're there.
Make it a work session of some sort? What do you think?
I'm not, I don't know if we have to go to that level. I mean, we can certainly include that in conversations when our fellow selectmen are doing their SIPs. We can do it for Ward 1 to Ward 3. But, but so this year, and I point to you, Amanda, because you're a restaurant owner and operator, that's some of the conservation efforts that some of the other communities are starting to implement. You're not going to serve water unless it's, upon request. So I think it's also kind of a marketing or, public information piece too, when we enact this. I just want us to be ahead of the game and not be scampering. At least we don't have a lot of lush lawns here that I don't believe we do. That people are sprinkling. Well, I mean, let's take advantage of the climate and the situation that we're in. I don't water my rocks, but.
So I appreciate that, and I had a couple of questions, and, thank you all for the materials, so since we haven't had a chance, if I hit something that's in the materials. My first question is 18, this is the baseline that we use currently still, right? For that sort of arbitrary thing that goes up in the spring or high of summer, that says odd numbers, even numbers, watering. Cause we do that every year since I've lived here, at least most years. We've had a little, note that goes up in the post office. So is that's based off 18 or is that based off something different?
It's largely what 18 is saying.
18, 2022.
Yeah.
Or 2012.
2012.
Okay. I mean, from a logistical standpoint, I don't know if it's worth us to have conversations for commercial use versus residential use. Or if we should potentially look at lowering the threshold of the QR usage, without, and then, like a month of grace period before extraneous penalties came into effect. Or if we just go with this. Those were just like thoughts I had. The information we just got from the water attorney is also really helpful, because, the way that this is being portrayed at a state level, and it's very serious, is that this is the worst drought in the history of the state. It's never been worse than this. So I think that anything we can do to get ahead of it, and I'd like to see a resolution in place by like the middle of May, would be something I'm comfortable with. I think we're probably safe to take thoughtful approaches without totally, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We don't have to stay.
Oh, I definitely wanna go through this material, because this is too much for us to digest.
Yeah.
Right, some of it we had ahead of time, I appreciate that. Or even phases, if it gets to a different level, it
Yeah.
gets to a different level, because there's more and more people.
I mean, we really don't have any streets that are huge water usage, we don't have any golf courses or any car washes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think making effort showing other communities below us that we are doing something. Is probably going to do. I don't think there's not much, could really change the behaviors of water usage. There's not many lawns, we have a couple of parks, but not much square footage. We haven't seen really major irrigation in our parks.
On the other hand, though, we should not do anything. If everybody
Correct, no,
else is doing
I do that.
something, we're certainly just as responsible as our neighbors that are drawing on the water or, around us. I want us to be on that, conscientious side of conservation, because when the wildfire sweeps through, we're gonna be right
You
back.
wanna make sure that you've
Yeah.
crossed your T's and dotted your I's.
Right.
From a commercial standpoint, we've already gotten water upon request only, just as like our own in-house effort.
I think everybody has that, I've seen.
It's honestly a really hard habit for the staff to break. And I keep thinking that tables are just being grossly ignored and yelling at everybody because I don't have anything in front of them, but that's my problem. Other than that, we haven't changed anything.
Right.
We don't actually take it.
Everything started putting up yard signs,
Did they?
conservation,
Yeah,
so something like that, and more PR, or just
yeah.
kind of public awareness. If whatever one of these guidelines seems best fit our scenario, I'd say we just implement that as soon as possible.
Is there a goal? Do we wanna be at half of our water usage or 75% of our water usage in order to hit a conservation number for fire? And things like that, is there that kind of calculus some way?
Tara gave you a good initial calculation, and then yes, Amanda's got,
I like that trade-off.
Well, she just said water restrictions.
no, she's got her calculations in the middle of her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Back here?
No,
It's in that
it's
first-
top one.
Paragraph.
Did you get it out of order?
Apparently, I must have really.
So
missed that.
the email basically
Where the level
says, thank
from?
you for reaching out.
This one.
Right now Georgetown has 232 AF in storage,
Yeah.
which I apologize. 'Cause
8 feet.
8 feet, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure. In the worst case, in the 1866 water rates at parity for the rest of the year, and your usage is similar to last year, you would have 105 AP and prior releases from Georgetown Lake for the rest of the year. In order to cover both out of priority municipal diversions and evaporation, then it goes on to talk about.
Right, and then it says what is left, so I'm wondering if we cut our usage by half, does that, what is its effect on the acre feet? Because that's a whole different.
We have to do another.
Yeah, you have to know, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
I mean,
alright,
you know, she's saying that if the usage is similar, you'll burn through.
Yeah.
About half of, a little over half of
your stored water,
232 acre feet that's in storage, leaving you with. Maybe enough and maybe just barely enough for next year. It's another extremely dry year. Not actually early, that analysis may be the most illuminating.
I
You
think
know,
it is,
because. You know, there's you're really drawing a bank down. And, in past years, we haven't worried about the bank because we got new deposits.
Right.
The next spring, right here, but if you don't get new deposits, then you're just looking at the declining balance is what she's saying. So.
We have, section 13.60.060 of the municipal code reference in here. I'm pulling that up.
he's got a
Sorry.
book right there.
1360. 060, I'm on Unicode.
Okay, let me find it.
And what's a major concern of, more concern, is it the wildfires or is it the actual water conservation?
I think it's wildfires, that's what I would say, I think water conservation is part of that though, right, to answer your question, like, are you right?
What I'm looking up is have issues with people not maintaining the vegetation around their houses. And if it dries out, then we have potential feeling for wildfires.
Okay,
Sorry, so we have to be careful on our messaging of what it is, not saying do not water anything,
right,
you know, I mean, it's ready, but still maintain.
Limit your water, yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
It's-
question, what is limiting, yeah,
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword, if the water supplies it there and you flip the hydrants on and the water trickles out, then you're
in trouble.
Yeah.
But that's why we want a combined conversation and not necessarily at the board level, but in staff gathering some information. To get similar reports like this from our fire department and from our water department, so that we're also getting what we have right now. You know, the fire mitigation is gonna be, an area of concern, but let's get them to weigh in too, because you bring up a good point, though, I can't imagine that, everybody out there. Water or whatever. I would not like to see us reduce our EQRs for the season just because that could be a result if it continues to get worse.
Extreme.
But, again, more of the, the public information out there and some things, and enforcement of, if we were to.
Go together.
So that's why I asked
Yeah.
about 13.660, and it's kind of vague, and it just says, it shall be unlawful for any person using water or water services from the town's potable water system to permit, suffer, or allow water to be wasted upon his or her premises, buildings, lots, or yards, whether through neglect or by reason of faulty plumbing, piping, or fixtures. And then it just goes on, waterways shall include by way of illustration, but not limitation, excessive watering or sprinkling of any yard garden or sprinkling hose or other area resulting in the ponding or surface runoff water to be caused an oversaturation.
Well, that's the standard code provision that I frankly put sort of in the nuisance. Your weeds are tall, there are various things,
For sure.
you're wasting water.
That makes sense.
It isn't something to be relied on in a dry year for water conservation. That's always true, but that's not your safety net, pardon me. There's another section that allows the police judge to, in kind of this 136004,
Yeah.
allows the police judge to impose emergency restrictions. But again, those are separate tools. I think the main policy discussion you're having is, should we implement water conservation measures townwide. In anticipation of this dry year and possibly next year's dry year. And if so, when? And if you're interested in doing that, we've got a bunch of material to kind of study up on. I think you're right in thinking that doesn't have to be tonight. But,
We have a lot of other downstream users. We probably have a dozen rafting companies between here and Floyd Hill.
They're gonna have a real short season.
They're gonna have a
If they
tough
have
go. And,
I-
and if you do some sort of public thing, if it's at a SIPS or something else, it at least gives them a voice to voice their concerns.
Apparently, they now have new rafts and the materials that they're made out of allow them to float on shallow or shallow water, whatever, however you want to say that. I don't know. I just.
Slide down rock beds or what?
I just read it about today and I was like, wow, that's technology.
Right.
So I was
Adapt
like,
to the climate.
everyone's aware of it, you know, and that's another thought though, I mean, you know, we.
If you're, all you're really
It's
trying to do
that
is
industry.
give people an opportunity to voice their concerns. That's what it seems like to me. And see some of that information that we might have in making, any decision.
So we know that we want water restrictions, right? I mean, we know we want them. The question is, what do we want those restrictions to look like? And then what would an emergency restriction look like if we had to implement one? Is that what we're addressing?
I don't think we were even talking about an emergency.
We're just talking about what are the
Yeah,
restrictions are that we want to get out there?
Well, it would be.
It'd be nice to get something out showing that we're proactive.
Yes, I think
Even if
so.
it's light duty,
Yeah.
and then we can add
Come
on to
back
that.
later if it gets
Yeah.
dire.
Well,
Versus tabling it and then going on record that we just tabled it.
well, let's look at this first because, the 2012 restrictions, it's true that the town didn't take an affirmative action to rescind them. But Andrea, if you read her email, her opinion is that with the curtailment ending, the restriction ended.
Right.
Jerry, do you agree with that?
that's my opinion as well.
Okay,
You
so,
don't have any in place now.
No, so we need to have some in
A
place.
true thing.
Right.
so if the board were, as Michael is pointing out tonight, if the board were interested tonight in saying, let's get this thing in place tonight, so there's something done, and then let's take the next month, 2 meetings to have an open house to talk to people about this and what they want to see. I have Haley Aldrich looking at Tara's numbers and also using that to do some projections for you to get into some of that. But the easy way would be tonight to vote to reinstate the 2012 resolution 18 that you have before you this evening.
Which all that resolution really does is put in the water restriction, right?
Yes.
Or what the daily, so it's the evens and the odds, and
Yeah.
we do that every year, so we just been like doing it. For funsies, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
That's what we can do.
But we're making it, you know, we're typically, we probably put it in place starting in June or so, we're getting it to start.
So we're starting May 1 with this? Is that what the board wants to do?
We can follow this one, since,
So reinstitute resolution 18 effective May 1 and then take the next month to look at maybe have an open house and talk about restrictions or projection from Haley Aldrich.
Yes,
Okay.
that's it. And then the last thing on that is, in our research, we also discovered that a number of towns have permanent restrictions that they've never rescinded over many, many years. So the town could consider that
Well,
as
that's
a permanent conservation effort.
Yeah.
Something to be discussed.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, nothing, I was just agreeing, sorry.
No worries. Any other thoughts here? I think what we're looking at,
Some new baseline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's great.
so we look at resolution number 18 from 2012 to be reinstituted effective today, effective May 1. And then we have the next month to look at an open house and projections, et cetera, which we will do separately, obviously, from the resolution. So, what did I say? Did someone like to make that motion?
Well, what you've got in the packet. is
Yeah,
a
okay.
form of
Is the motion.
resolution. But before you make the resolution, I might suggest that it's set up to be a new resolution, 2026 resolution. It's not set up to just quote, reinstitute resolution 18.
Okay, so how?
What I think, and that's got Former police judge, the back word told, I think might not message really well to people, well, what's going on here? So I'd be inclined to, they have a new resolution number and Bridget can give us whatever the next number is. And the form of that resolution can be the same as the 2018. Or excuse me, the resolution number 18. And we'll just have it typed up so that it's a 2026 resolution.
Okay,
So if I were making a motion, you'd make the one that's in the packet, with the resolution number. And, further direct that the staff, prepare that resolution based upon the 2012 materials.
resolution 18.
And that'll give us everything we need to do to create a resolution that you can sign, Georgia, that has a 2026 date.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Would someone like to make that motion?
So we need the number, what's the number?
7.
7?
So is that, I motion to approve resolution number 7, series 2026. Based on
Imposing community water, just right out.
imposing community water restrictions.
Until.
Until ended by the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
That's ended by the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
In the same form.
In the same form as resolution 18, series 2012.
Perfect.
Second, Mary. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. That's great. That is gonna feel good. And then we can look at staff then, Dennis, for the projections and the open house date.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, very good. Item number 3 is the ordinance number 2, series 2026, short-term rental ward limits. First reading. And Jared, did you want to talk about this?
Sure.
Okay.
I think you directed me to break this last time, because we had the dialogue about the fact that, short-term rentals are prohibited in, the Bighorn development. They're prohibited by virtue of a plat note that was put on that property as one of the conditions of the original approval back in 2017. And we have to keep regularly educating owners there who understandably don't read plat note 10, it's really tiny on, I read it all the time, it's important to me. But, they don't, smart aleck, they don't, and that's a separate sort of messaging process, but nevertheless, short-term rental permits aren't allowed in Bighorn, but there's population there, right? There are a lot of people there, and the way the code reads is that there are ward limits at, I think, 7% in each. And 5% in Ward 1, 7 and 2, and 7 in Ward 3, and this is in Ward 3, correct?
Yes.
So 7% of the units that are there generate the number of STRs you can have. But that's inflated by virtue of the population in Bighorn. So you directed me to, create an amendment to the code that recognize that, and I did that. And you'll see that what I did is I recognize the fact that these permits are not allowed in Bighorn Crossing development. And that development, when I made the legal description, are the units in that development are not to be counted when calculating. That's all fine, and that's first reading and great. The next question though was, well, how exactly are those numbers calculated? And it's the most recent Dr. Cog community profile. So I was asked, well, can we take a look at that and see? And I did, and I printed it here, but here it is. I got on their website, you can find community profiles, and you can look up your own town and the county or whatever, and I printed it off. And it shows population change up to 2023 of 1,268 people across the town. Fair enough, but how's that translate to wards 1, 2, and 3? And I did not see on the Dr. Cog website, and I'm not surprised. They didn't say, this population is broken down in wards 1, 2, and 3 Georgetown, that's not their job. is probably unaware of that, they show a little map and it's the whole town. And I checked that too. What I would be inclined to recommend is you at least get this going on first reading. And that we engage in a process to figure out how exactly those numbers are applied in the wards. I haven't had, it hasn't been my job to take a population in Ward 1 and know the number of units in Ward 1 and then turn that into the 5% that's allowed in Ward 1. I assume we have a way of identifying structures.
Water
Right.
taps?
Uh,
I thought it went on the consensus, was there a census by ward?
well, see, that's population though, and
Right.
we're really looking at.
Units,
that's
that's right,
units.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm sure we have the ability to do it, and I'm not suggesting that tonight's the night for all of us to sort of figure out what those numbers are. But we've been relying on some numbers to be able to know how many STRs are allowed in the wards. And I'd like to look a little further at that. It may well be that what we should be doing is not referring to the Dr. Cog numbers in our code, because they do not, they tell you about population, they don't tell you about number of structures.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Then I would suggest, I agree with you, we can get to the bottom of the numbers, we can find the numbers. I've inquired with Dr. Cog, I sent Flo a couple of emails, I haven't heard anything back from her. But if we were just to adopt first reading this evening, but take the reference out to Dr. Cog right now. Sure. Then we can fill in what the board is comfortable with using as their meat and measuring stick.
That's actually good, that gets us 75% of the way to the right ordinance, and we can get the remaining 25% at second reading. We'll do the research.
And we're also excluding Bighorn from this ordinance.
Yeah, that's point.
How many short STRs do they have in it? I know there's just a portion that they sold that allowed STRs.
They
No,
can't,
they
they
can't.
can't have any STRs in there, so that's why we're
None right now.
taking that count
They're not-
out.
That was part of the deal of getting it that,
Even the first phase, the townhouse? Oh, really? Okay.
There were some, hospitality suites that were included that are sometimes confused as STRs, but now they are readdressing those, and Jerry's been working with some of those property owners to remove that restriction. So really, there's no STRs allowed in the Big Horn development.
Okay, all right.
And then the point is, it warps the Ward 3 number because those aren't even available for STR applications. So the calculation is kind of off because the whole section is being excluded right out of the gate. So we're trying to address that. Whether it turns out to be advantageous to Ward 3 or not, I think it's gonna end up calculating towards the more STRs are available. Is that the way the math is gonna work out?
Well,
Gonna be fewer if you're not counting Bighorn.
Yes, that's right.
But right now, we're counting population, not population, but the amount of units that they weren't drawn.
Right.
In the whole calculation, but they're excluded from even
So now we have to
having.
Yeah, so
recalculate.
it's superficially.
Yes.
Right.
yes, and it's,
Like a gated community.
yeah.
So currently, we're.
Yes.
That's why I always had in my mind, they were.
If this ordinance ultimately is adopted, the number of single-family units in Ward 3 will go down by virtue of the number that are in Bighorn. And that the remainder, whatever you're left with, is what the 7% is applied against, with giving you the number of STRs that can happen in Ward 3.
Mhm.
To get us 75% of the way there, proper motion, we adopt ordinance number 2 series 2026 as presented with the deletion of the phrase as estimated by the most recent Dr. Cog community profile.
So moved. It's in two spots, right? One says DRC and one says Dr. Frog.
second,
Wait,
Well, yeah, we have.
It only says it in one place.
oh, I thought,
yeah, well, what is this up here?
You said so moved, right? You gotta say this.
But I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we have a question.
It should be Dr.
It should be.
So she's
Okay.
right, and she's right.
What was that, Dennis? I think you said it.
But I don't know.
Okay, very good. So did you want to refriend that,
Sure.
motion then, Jerry?
Proper motion to adopt ordinance number 2 series 2026 with the deletion of the phrase Dr. Cog or DRC or Dr. Cog community profile as it appears, in the fourth whereas and in section 050A.
So moved again.
Second again.
Second, Rich,
Yeah.
very good, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, so we want second reading as amended, and we'll figure out all the
We'll
numbers.
be prepared to tell you how to calculate number of units.
Okay, very good.
And I think probably it's gonna be caps, but
So
that'll be good.
even though they are multiple housing buildings, they're still single family.
Units,
Okay,
yeah, whether they're rental, whether they're condo, whether they're townhouse, whether
it
they're.
doesn't matter if there's 10 units in it, which to me is multiple housing.
Yeah,
It's still,
it's still-
okay, so just want, I don't want us to get kicked up on the wrong roads and not do what we're trying to do here.
But to this point, we probably do need to look at one especially, because I think one's had, we've had 5 or 6. I don't even know how many houses are over there, there's at least. I mean, all the major Anderson, houses. I mean, I don't know when the last time we evaluated those. As far as like STR licenses, of course, sticking to that metric, I think we need to make it equitable across the board, but that's a longer conversation, make sure that all the wards are where they need to be. Right now, there's a ward that's being,
Right, but we count Major Anderson right
Right,
now, but the
exactly.
problem with
And
Big
so-
Barn was we
no,
excluded
I
them.
totally understand, the
Okay.
big court's out, but I think that there's also another conversation of making sure all the wards. With any new construction are accurate,
And your
in the
tool,
5%, 5, and
your
7%.
tool to that is absolutely the percentage. And you can dial that or down depending upon,
Yeah.
pardon me, the evolving conditions in the joint.
Okay, very good. So item number 4, agenda item number 4 is Clear Creek Trail Collaborative IGA. Dennis, were you gonna speak about that or?
Yes, the town has been a member of the collaborative trailway group for a while. And so recently, when the Parks Commission turned over their membership, Jessica volunteered to become the representative for the trail collaborative, and while she was there, the collaborative came up with a renewal of the agreement in the IGA, so this has been going around over at the collaborative for some time, and now it's coming from the Parks Commission with a recommendation to adopt as it's presented this evening. So Mary did ask about a map for the trailway system. And I found some links on that, but we're still working to identify a actual paper hardcover map that we can include as the exhibit that's referenced in the IGA.
I think it'd be interesting as this IGA gets into place. To have the. Comparable. Materials and expectations. Throughout the length of the trail. I mean, that'll be a while down the line, but. And what those maintenance pieces are. But I did hope that you could have brought in what that trail looks like, because. Even I have not been around on this board as long as this has been going on. So it'd be interesting to see exactly how that all looks together.
I think having a map might be helpful just to see what George
I
kind of
have one on the
responsible
board
for.
here.
Sorry?
I agree, there is a pretty comprehensive map on the collaborative's webpage, but. Again, if you go to it, if you had a chance to spend time, it's very convoluted and hard to read.
Yeah, and there is gonna be some budget impacts, right? Because we will have management, there could be capital projects, that's what's mentioned in the agreement on the IGA.
But as it goes right now, we don't contribute to that. So they would have to vote and request that happen, then we would have.
Does that say that on the IGA that they have to vote?
No, I'm telling you right now, we don't have any contribution.
There wasn't any financial commitment to this.
So trail
Yes.
managing agencies, it says here, we have responsible for routine maintenance and routine repair, and we're a managing agency. By definition in here, So, but you're saying this doesn't apply?
We don't pay money into that.
There's various trails or this one trails in that?
Various trails, it's like one, all the county trails.
Okay.
So the
Collection
collection,
trails that I.
yeah, the collaborative, as I understand, is represented to make sure things like the maintenance are taken care of. The signage is uniform and correct, and that right now the collaborative is free of charge to participate, we do not contribute to that. The IGA does provide for that to happen at some point if they want it, but they would have to request that as one of the member agencies. We do adopt that, we will accept, we will give money, we will
We
budget.
do say that in the future, something could happen that we would,
If they said, we want you to give 10,000 and the board has not allocated 10,000 for this, then we're not giving 10,000.
Under
Yeah.
section G, it kind of, the last two sentences. Says, which one, Mary? G on page either 224 of the document or page 30.
All the signature pages.
Yeah. Under G, it says existing trail also, the last two sentences, existing trail also exists in the town of Georgetown, the town of Silver Plume, further
Yeah, this
funding
is right
and build
here.
out. For the remaining sections is still being identified.
See, I don't believe this has come up in 2 years with the Historic Lands Commission. And we have a lot of trail representatives and folks that are doing things that maybe, I wanna take a look at the map and see if that falls in their purview, because if we have a May meeting, it's probably our next one scheduled, and maybe it needs to be on our agenda too.
I
I
used to
think we
see a
need
lot
to
of
see a
trails.
map to understand what we're talking about, for sure. And then let's see what else to do.
So I guess I kind of misunderstood. I believe that when I read this in our packet, that I thought it was just specifically pertaining to the Clear Creek.
That's what I thought too.
And which we do have according to the data that was online that I found when I was looking at this stuff. We have a tie into.
Mhm.
So is it, I think that's important to understand. So is it multiple trail systems or is it the singular Clear Creek Trail?
The Clear Creek Trail,
Okay, so it is.
but it overlaps in many.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's
It's like
65
various
miles.
trails that connect to create the Clear Creek
Right.
Trail, right?
I see,
Okay.
okay, so yeah, that was just, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it on the map here in Wheat Ridge. And I'm following it.
Yeah, it goes through all those jurisdictions, you know, so we're from all the way down to Adams County.
Yeah.
They more or less have it in geographic order, if you go from 8 to 1.
I believe there was a stretch that goes through Clear Creek County in the Tri-County or Tri-City area. That there was some pushback from the neighborhoods
Right.
as to whether
I
or
think
not
there
the
was-
trail was going to go through
Big
there.
time. With the county,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's one of the reasons too, I wanted to kind of see the maps.
Tri-City area.
Dumont, down.
Dumont.
DDL.
The DDL, AKA Tri-City. Area.
Tri-City.
Mhm.
Learn something every day.
I know.
Hey,
Learn something.
Hey, come on, you're gonna be here a year as of tomorrow, you know.
I know the Tri-City area.
Hey, come on.
Yeah, right. They don't mean.
And we're not talking about Newark and like that. Alright,
So could I move to table this till our next,
Yeah.
or till the appropriate time, and then
Will we have a map and
With a
whatever?
request for a attachment A map.
with that and. Sure, what else we wanna add on to this, guys, anything else?
What other clarification were you asking, looking for to know?
Funding was, let's just make sure that we're, future funding.
And liability.
Liability.
So that section, I looked at it again, that section is basically laying out that the member agencies are responsible for the trail in their town,
Mhm.
which we already do.
Do you feel that your other organization is going to have any
HTTP, yeah.
They,
on this?
I don't know if they'll have any problem with it, but I think they should be aware. Because obviously they're gearing back up for some sort of action and they haven't done anything for a while, it seems. And I think it's important to know what their vision is.
Okay, so request is for the map. It's also a request for comment from that group.
HDLC.
What is it? HDG?
Historic.
LC.
Historic, yeah.
I mean, I think this is an important collaboration and I don't wanna see anything happen to it because it's
No.
it's a treasure to our outdoor space and I think we definitely need to do it, but.
I think we should do it, but I'd like to see where it is, yeah, what the trail
And
is.
then I'll get you also, I'll clarify the funding commitment, just so everybody sees it.
Mhm.
Now, okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Wait, we need to make a motion to table it, we do.
Yeah.
I did,
Motion
okay,
to
Mike
table.
makes, you made a motion.
I already started it, Michael. Okay, you can second my motion. but I
I'll
already
second,
started
yeah, I'll
it.
second.
Mary, okay, Mike seconds, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Clarification is it's tabled until a future date. We didn't give it a date.
You did not.
So, good, thank you. You know how things go around here with.
Well, because then we'll have to tabling it again, you know, because we won't have it on.
So that's good.
Like B flat.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, US Economic Development Grant Letter of Support. This is in your packet. It was fairly self-explanatory, I think. I just had a question about how Georgetown would be following up on this and kind of monitoring where the money goes, or do we care, is it we just supporting it and it's just, which is fine, because it sounds like we're just supporting an application for a grant, so we would not receive any direct benefit necessarily. Okay, very good, thank you. Any other questions on this graph? Okay, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mike, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amanda. All those in favor? Any
Doesn't
opposed?
he read the motion?
He should, but for this one, we'll assume that it was read.
Very good,
Well,
thank
that's
you.
gonna be right
Sure,
next
good
time.
motion.
Thank you, sorry. Agenda item number 6, board appointments. You have in front of you, I had sent out the current board appointments as they sit. We wanted someone on parks, and Amanda, you had indicated an interest in parks. We have the Economic Resiliency Group, which Mike, you had indicated that you would be interested in the Economic Resiliency Group. We also have the Silver. Sorry?
Work these at the private meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, private, Ward 3, are you good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, the Silver Plume Sewer Commission. Is open, and we have an Upper Clear Creek Watershed Association that's open. Those two are at the top of your attachment there. I don't know if anybody also would, I haven't heard back from anybody, if anybody wanted to move or trade or make changes to what you have been doing. You know, this would be a time to talk about that. And I know Alex is online. We haven't been, he's muted, but isn't he muted? I think that's,
Yeah, he's
okay, very good. Thank you. So any other thoughts on this? Anybody want to do watershed or the sewer committee, from what I understand from, Kasia, is that it has not met in a very long time and may wind up getting back in the group, may not. I don't even know if that is on, you can shed any light
I am
on
the
that.
representative from the staff on that, and yes, they will be getting together soon.
So
Okay.
Monster Resurrected too, I know, so.
Yeah.
When does the Upper Clear Creek Watershed
I don't even know.
Association meet?
That was what, Ryan was on that along with,
Rob, probably.
Rob, right?
So now it's myself and Rob, and now Rob is looking for a replacement. Both of those groups meet irregularly, so you're not gonna have to devote a lot of time if you're the representative on that group, and we usually go together.
When was the last time the watershed met?
The last meeting that I remember being sent an agenda was right when I started a year ago.
So the odds are.
So in the next 2 weeks.
Do we want to leave those open, or does someone want to, I can,
Come on, somebody, it's all
I'll
glass.
do the watershed.
okay, and then as to sewer, oh, wait, there's Alex, is that Alex? What is he saying, Brendan?
I thought Alex was gonna do sewer.
Alex has left the
Building hall. Or maybe we can
He
walk.
left the call?
Oh, no, he's there, I see.
He's there.
No, he's.
Did he type something? I can't tell from here.
He's unmuted. I was here able to speak if you want to.
Do we have a volume?
Yeah, we just heard it ding, so.
Oh, no, he's muted again.
Okay.
Well, he's stuck in the traffic. Keisha said there's 17 people at the, yeah, so it's not too many, but it's something. Okay,
So when did they usually meet for Georgetown? Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever?
It was a quarterly meeting, I think.
it was, but it hasn't met for what?
They haven't met in
years?
years.
But at,
Yeah,
what day of the week? Like
I don't know.
Thursdays are not good, but.
I don't
available
know.
some other
Tuesday.
days.
We'll take Friday.
Yeah.
I feel really bad.
I have a lot of stuff. but-
Yeah, I mean, I think. We have to divide all this up evenly, it's.
well, you can see, you know, how we have like Rich.
Yeah, no.
I put it here so you guys could all see. Who does what, okay, so
Housing
Rich, you wanna
is a
pick up
big one.
sewer or whatever you called it?
Guess it was my minor in college.
Oh, wow, then you have
That's
some,
why I called it that.
and Mary, you're gonna be on the watershed group with Dennis?
I'll shed water.
You'll shed water.
Water.
Okay, any other things that people wanna change? You'll also notice I added, Annalee here where we used to have Jess. So I just stuck Anna in
What's
there.
that for?
This is for the Park County and Clear Creek County Guanella Pass group. Jess had been on that group, and so I just put Anna in there because. I just
Oh,
thought-
for, that pass.
Right, this is under staff representative. Any other thoughts or questions or comments on this?
So everybody that volunteered to fill these spots, we've got the watershed, we've got the sewer, we've got the. economic
Parks,
resiliency, and we've got the parks,
That's right.
and they're all mine, so. Watch out.
Very good. All right, well, if you don't have any other comments or questions, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to read that motion?
You want, so you can have the motion?
Go ahead, Mike.
So we want you to fill in the names. too.
It's actually a pretty forgiving motion.
I move to appoint the discussed people to the vacancies listed.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Dwayne. All those in favor? Any opposed? Very good, thank you, thank you, board. I'll send out a clean copy. So that, you know, we have that, very good. And moving on to, number 7, we have commission appointments, and this is different, obviously, than the board appointments. There's a summary in your packet, and, it's fairly self-explanatory. We have a DRC motion to have Keith Prostick, or did you want to be talking
No,
about?
you got it, handle it, you're doing it.
Oh,
Go for it.
okay, to recommend Keith Prostick, who has the art studio next to Gary Haynes's Grizzly Creek Gallery. He would like to be, he was an alternate, he wants to be filling the vacancy left by Betsy Blakesley. And on Parks and Rec Commission, there's a recommend to have Elizabeth Sample be an alternate, and she has a letter attached with a lovely photo. Is there any discussion or comment on these recommendations? Any comments or questions? Okay, there's a recommended motion in your packet. Would someone like to read that motion?
I move to appoint Mr. Crossing to the Design Review Commission as a full member and, okay, actually, wait. All right, there could be a switch up on the Parks and Rec thing,
Okay,
and in which case you would zero. So I think we need, so there was somebody who was, potentially gonna come off Parks and Rec, so Beth was maybe gonna end up a full member. But I'll appoint her as an alternate tonight, and we just may have to do it at the next
switch
week.
it up. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds like a
Yes,
great
I
plan.
apologize.
No worries, Amanda. That sounds
Well, let
good.
me throw this in.
Okay,
It's been explained to me that, the town has just had a standard practice that if there's an alternate, they automatically move into this full spot. I think that the board should be appointing all full members, so regardless of past practice, the board should just acknowledge that if there's a a vacancy, even if an alternate there should be an official action by the board of selectmen to take that alternate and make them a full member.
I'd like to double check that against code, because our code is written differently for our different commissions, though I agree that that clarification should be made.
Yeah, I don't think that the resignation to the member who is possibly gonna leave Parks and Rec hasn't come through yet, but it was a discussion. It's in a public meeting. You guys can go back and hear it. But I don't, so is Jerry should be appointed as an alternate tonight and then just,
But we also,
Yeah.
was it not Parks and Rec that,
I only went one meeting in with these guys, so I'm getting caught up, so.
there was a commission, and I apologize, I can't remember which one it was, that we wanted representation in each ward on that commission, and I thought it was Parks. Maybe I'm wrong. And I just wanna make sure that if there's a changeover in that particular one, seeing that there's a question anyway. I mean, we can always undo it.
I'd like to appoint her because she's really eager and she came to the last meeting and she's got a lot of really valuable contribution. And so if we could just appoint her tonight, it just occurred to me as I was saying, I was like, I don't remember if she was supposed to be an alternate or not. But yeah, it hinges on a couple of things, like there was a possible resignation that needed to be brought in and then switching up, and I wouldn't feel right taking that space for Christian without checking with him.
As I reflect back, my own memory, going down memory lane.
I think it was-
planning.
it was planning.
I was, yeah,
Yeah,
I remembering the players.
yeah, it's like, so
Okay.
I'll just make the motion, but just we may have to amend it.
Okay, you wanna reread the
Yeah,
motion? Amanda?
sorry, that's my.
No, that's okay, that was
my
good.
ADHD moment there. I move to appoint Mr. Crossick to the DRC as a full member and Ms. Sample to Parks and Rec as an alternate.
Second,
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, well, good. We have a new DRC member and a new Parks and Rec member. Okay, item number 8, this was added by, Mr. Dawes. Jerry, would you like to address this?
You bet. This is Lakeview Flat Phase 2. Kind of, now it reducts. And I understand that, the board's been on vacation about handling these things as they come up. It's a process. It doesn't surprise me that there's these additional needs. As you might recall, the structure of that what amounts to a good affordable housing development is that the town actually acquires the property using 100% financing through Chapa's 123 land banking program, and immediately turns around and leases the property back to Centennial Opportunity Fund. They build the units that satisfies the conditions of the Chapa loan to the town. Once that's done, the loan is forgiven, and at the end of the lease, Centennial Opportunity Fund repurchases the property. Either for $1 if the loan's been forgiven, which is the concept, or for the full amount if the loan hasn't been forgiven. So the town is not exposed. And these are agreements you've entered into already. In order to make the money available, and it's now 1.8 something change. And change, she says, right?
Yeah.
Price of a single family house. In order to make that loan, Chafa, our housing finance, the quick fund, has even more requirements. They sent over a goofy form of resolution that had Georgia saying some things, and the board saying some other things. And I identified that, pushed back and did some work on it. So did Max Stitch for me, for Centennial. And we are both happy with the form of resolution that's now in your packet. I realize there's a little bit of highlighting, and we'll fix that. And we didn't plug in Georgia, or we didn't plug in Bridget's name, it's not close. But what this does is approves the receipt of the loan from Chapa to the town, which is good.
Mhm.
We want that. And it authorizes the police judge and myself then to handle additional documentation to the extent it's needed going forward. It gives us plenary authority, so I'm advising you that you've given us that power. It's me to look at the form of documents in Georgia to sign them as they are needed, and I'm convinced there will be one or two more. documents, but I'm knocking for my head. I'm hoping that this resolution, checks punches our ticket to be able to handle that for you as there's some additional random things Chatham might want. But good news, they want him to close on this within a week or so, and they're anxious to do it. I don't know if Kurt's on he wanted to zoom in. I don't know if he's on.
Did Alex have something he needed to say?
I think that just shows that he's here. If Kurt's there and wants to add anything, has been listening to
Kurt
my
there as well?
description. Kurt Sokup was, I emailed this afternoon and I asked him to be present by Zoom in case the board had questions.
Okay, is he on there, Bridget?
I just promoted him to a panelist.
Very good, thank you.
Kurt, you've probably heard my description. There's
Yes,
anything
I
more
did.
you want-
I did
want to
hear
tell
what you,
the board? Now's the time.
I heard what you said. This, fortunately, the basics of this whole transaction has not changed since the first time we presented it to the town. I think the main important thing is that this is forgiven as soon as we pull a building permit. And I have a construction loan, which we both have. Well, we have the construction loan. We can pull the building permit in a short order. So I think all the facts that we presented before are currently the same. And I think the most important thing for the town is how this loan is forgiven. Either I pay for it back if I don't perform, or we're going to be later this spring, early summer, pulling a building permit, and we already have the construction loan. So that should be forgiven, and we'll proceed with the CHAFA to ensure that that's forgiven quickly. This also catapults us to another grant that we've been working on that we should have some complete approval by May 4th, which will reduce the prices of these houses by 70,000 per unit. So that I think we're going to have a very, very attractive package and a very nice townhome.
A lot of echo.
Yeah,
Terrific.
thank you,
Thanks, Kurt.
thank you, sir.
Question from the board? I think there's a motion in the packet.
Amanda, did you have a question?
No, I was hearing like back.
Yeah, there was
something
a
that's kind of-
backbeat,
So I
exactly.
was trying to strain, I need one of those old timey hearing pieces.
Any questions on this by the board? Any comments? All right, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
Sure.
Rich?
I move to approve resolution number 8, series of 2026 of the Board of Selectmen of Georgetown, Colorado, authorizing acceptance of a grant and approval of related documents, and authorize and direct the police judge and town clerk to execute the same.
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, very good.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jerry,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Kurt.
Thank you for all your efforts. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Very good. We have an added item number 9 regarding scheduling an executive session in order for the board to discuss the evaluation process for the town administrator. Mary, did you ever make any comments on that? You were on that. So just as a reminder, if the board hasn't already done so, please make sure that you get your evaluation into Jerry by Friday. He did send out some additional documents for your review. And so then the next step after he receives all of those reports would be for us to convene an executive session meeting for us to discuss as a group. So you're filling those reports out individually, and then we will discuss, because Jerry will have compiled all that information. I believe we're going to have some additional work sessions and executive sessions coming up in the next couple of weeks, so my thought is to have it off schedule of our regular, so we're not. I agree with that, so it doesn't get so long, because we all like to talk about Dennis, so we might be here for a while.
Just let me know ahead of time.
Mary,
so I get my
remind me,
haircut.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
I know about the one work session, what else, was there anything else that we're anticipating?
Well, we were talking about having a work session on the 28th for something else that you had said last meeting.
It was the fees,
No, it
so the
was,
first reading, the ordinance that you're working on.
we're still talking about having a work session though on unsolved.
Right,
Front rows.
yeah.
There's other topics that are gonna be coming up, so. If, my suggestion would be maybe to keep it on a Tuesday, I don't know what Jerry's schedule is, May 5th. Would be, if the information just comes, is due on the 17th, we have to give time for that information to be compiled, so next week I think would be too early.
I do too.
So if May 5th works for everyone, and Mike, again, remember you're participating in this, so we need your availability.
May 5, you mean?
Yes, that's May 5th.
Sorry, I heard 6.
Also, I think
I apologize.
I could be sarcastic to anybody else.
Apparently,
Okay, so. Special. But it doesn't have to be on a Tuesday either, I'm just
Oh, my God.
throwing that out there.
Because,
You guys will miss me when I'm.
no, the executive session will be on May 5th. Is that what you're promoting?
That's what I'm
Good with
doing.
mine.
Everybody's good with that? Okay.
6 p.m.
We could do it at 6, we could do it.
Depends on how long it's gonna take.
Let's do it 5.
okay, let's start at noon then.
It's gonna take a while.
Okay, God, we're gonna be here till midnight anyway. Can everyone start at 5? Does that? I mean, it is Cinco de Mayo, I want everyone to recognize that, so if that interferes with any.
Are we starting at 5? Is that what we're saying?
Is Jerry, are you available?
I'm not, I have an obligation of, I've got to zoom into at probably 8:30-ish that night.
Oh, that's okay, we could probably be done.
We're
by-
starting at 5. I think
that's a
that-
lofty goal. Have you met this
We'll
board?
talk fast.
If we are talking past 6, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah,
So we're talking 5 o'clock on May 5, 5,
Sure.
5, 5.
All in favor, does that work?
5,
Okay,
5, 5, I just wanted to put out there.
what I do need to do, if you're gonna do that, is because that's a special meeting, you should take a motion. To convene a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen for 5 o'clock PM on Tuesday, May the 5th, for the purpose of conducting an executive session and potentially taking actions to give yourself room on the town administrator's evaluation.
So move. Mary, and do I have a second? Rich? All those in favor? Any opposed? Very good, thank you very much. So we have a special meeting at 5 o'clock on May 5.
Okay, and then Jerry will have Bridget interact with you in the next couple of days to make sure the words are what you want. You got, or your most recent memo. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, I'm gonna file this other discussion right now. So,
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
So moving into our reports phase, I did want to say congratulations to Dennis for tomorrow is his anniversary of 1 year. So yay. Dennis. Very good, we're excited,
and
yeah,
flat.
all right.
I'm glad you're having fun. Oh, Jerry, speaking of that and our last motion, do we need to make any official record of the fact that Dennis's contract said we were doing this in a certain period of time and we're extending that? You and I chatted about that, I don't know. How should we?
Well, it's a contract matter. You could, if you wish, take a motion, amending the contract to provide for a delayed, a slightly delayed schedule for the evaluation. That would require an amendment to the contract, and it would require, because that's a contract, two parties against the other party. My suggestion is that parties can waive that by virtue of their behavior. So to the extent the board meets later and Dennis shows up for that evaluation session, you've waived, the two of you have waived hey, the evaluation got to be completed by such and such a date.
So we need Dennis to go on record saying that he waives that.
I think probably the only thing, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I need to talk to my attorney.
The only thing that probably need to do is just make her say, I'm fine with the schedule as proposed, and you are.
So moved.
Okay. Let the record reflect the town administrator's fine with the, slightly extended schedule for the 2026 evaluation.
Thank you.
Sure, okay, sure, we've checked that box.
Thank you, that's good.
What's that?
So I'm hearing from Kasia that apparently, the Loveland bus ended up transporting a lot of the people in the accident to Morrison. A lot of them are very shook up. There's a handful of people at the, community center. Also, Ron from Grady from 511 Rose says that Olivia from Fox News showed up and wanted to talk to somebody. So I just texted, Kasia to see if she could go over there. So she's at 511. So I asked Asia if she could go over there, unless you wanna go.
Do you want to direct staff, go for them?
Well, I
I'm
just
kidding.
did.
I don't know, is that a violation?
I just did that, sorry.
Talk to my attorney,
This is why I'm telling you now,
Yes.
yeah.
Good.
Okay.
we're all set.
So anyway, that's what's going on there. Okay, so, for a police judge, we had a mayors and commissioners meeting this morning. There was a lot of conversation about Charlie's Place regarding their need for money. The county budget, as you all know, is being really slashed and cut, and Charlie's Place is getting very effective. They really don't have a lot of animals there. And so the cost of keeping the, staff going and the building going is very, very expensive. So they're looking at options, maybe a 501c3. And maybe they just have the animals that they do have picked up, go down to Foothills Shelter, which would be a much less expensive alternative, but just wanted to bring that to your attention in case you guys volunteer at Charlie's Place. The Argo is going to, have a ribbon cutting on April 24. So that's gonna be by invitation, obviously. The governor is going to be there. On April 16th, they're putting one of their gondola cars in Union Station by one of the bars to advertise, so that'll be really cute. It'll be there for one day. In Evergreen on May 2, just so everyone knows, Route 103 in the morning hours until noon will be very, very backed up and probably not closed, but very backed up because they're doing a fire drill. So they're gonna do a mock evacuation in that area, so just be aware of that. There's a new mayor and a whole new board in Empire. Her name is Denise. I did not catch her last name. So that was very exciting. And I think, Dwayne, you're gonna talk about housing authority. I'm used to seeing you there. And the Dr. Cog update is that the municipal planning organization, Clear Creek County, will be a part of that. We're just waiting for the formality of it. Not sure what that's actually gonna bring to us, but possibly money and of course, more attention, hopefully. As to the Tourism Bureau grant, for that passport booklet, that is in the design phase, and I know that Dennis and Anna have been working on that. Dennis may be wanting to talk about that.
Anna's online, she can do that.
Yeah, I can talk. So she'll talk about that one during her report, and then s'mores, Nigel and Anderson is doing s'mores and sprouts this Saturday, which will be really cute, so I'm working with her on that, and that is my report. All right, so we will go to Selectmen. Let's start with Mary.
So my partner in crime here and I had our sips with the selectmen. We had an outstanding attendance. We did.
You did.
We did. Georgia was there and Keisha and Anna.
Yeah, over 20 folks.
Yeah, we had about 25 people there. So nothing outstanding, just a few things. I mean, we specifically addressed Ward 3 issues. People were quite vocal about linear park and the design of linear park, and they wanted more vertical rocks in linear park.
Yeah,
Some linear park.
What do you call those monoliths?
bigger rocks.
Yes, they wanted bigger rocks. They weren't happy with the landscaping in Lakeview Flats. We heard from some of our neighbors and constituents about the pond hockey, which we're all aware of. They were very, people not about pond hockey, people were very concerned about the thin ice this year and visitors walking out on there. They did talk about having shuttle access on during pond hockey to go on 6th Street.
Chief Jones did a really good
Oh,
job
outstanding.
while out there and having that many in the audience, that was.
There were 30
His
people
time.
there, which I think is, you know, this is a mob in Georgetown, 30 people really is. So that was great. Yeah, there was talk about, some people were asking about if the lagoon path was going to be lit. Of course, that stirred up some conversation of those who want lights there and those who don't. They were concerned about trash from the visitors around the lake. They recognize that our staff is picking them up. I mean, so this wasn't anything addressed to, you know, town staff or anything like that. Just, you know, the excessive use of the lake and lagoon area. And then code enforcement came up a lot about the Big Barn Apartments and their trash situations, and so we deflected that and said that code enforcement would hopefully be able to, you know, assist with that. Yeah, and then the fire departments, they were just amazing, and I think people were really glad to hear all of that. Did I miss anything? Those were the good things
No,
that I
I went-
remembered.
Full 2 hours. It was nice having both selectmen because we could tag team a little bit and divide and conquer, and that worked really well, I thought.
Cabin Creek was great. They, you know, put out some free, non-alcoholic beverages. A lot of people were ordering food, so I think that they were appreciative of it. You know, we used that little back room. We had passed out maps for the park. They were more concerned about linear park than any of the other maps and stuff that we shared with them. And then we shared the list with Dennis just so that he had a heads up. Some of it, I don't know if it's gonna be addressed or not. We did get a complaint on the next day though, from one of the residents about where they were starting to, you know, move the earth for the park.
Mm.
And I think this is something that town needs to be on top of as far as the fencing and everything, so that the dirt and debris and everything isn't going into either the apartments or restaurant or whatever. Kasia made contact, she reached out to Creighton and talked to him about it. They were also concerned about damage to the path around the lagoon. So it was great that the conversation happened with Creighton the next day. However, now that they're out there and they're moving their rigs around and doing some work on the park, the fencing is down to prevent anything. You must notice this.
The fencing was soil erosion fencing, it didn't have any impact on dust. I'm more interested that they maintain a consistent schedule of watering the soil, so.
And they have been doing.
Yeah, we've been going over that with Creighton, we're really interested in that, because they could do the watering that they're supposed to, they could start moving dirt around, and then they're bringing up the dry soil from the bottom, and then it's killing what they did with these watering in the first place. So we're very interested in watching them on keeping on a consistent schedule with the watering. Also, I think they're almost done building those new windscreens that they got DRC approval for. If you go over there right now on that access road that goes straight back along the construction area, you can see a bunch of posts on the one building, but the planks have already been filled in on the other. So as far as I understand from Creighton, they're waiting for more supplies to finish those up. And those should have an impact to protect the vehicles that are parked in the parking lot there from the flying rocks, and we named it if it spurs up again. But the real thing is gonna be making sure they maintain watering to keep the dust down.
Which is gonna be a double-edged sword when we're talking about water restrictions and
Right.
conservation of that, so.
Right, that's why they're trying to get done as quick as possible.
Right, and that could impact their building schedule. The other thing, though, I would like to see some type of barrier put along the path near where they're constructing the park, so that that path is open to the public for the summer, because they're gonna be working on it for a long time. And
Yes.
we don't want the equipment going on there and damaging the path, and we also want people to be able to use that path in a safe way,
But
so.
remember, the first phase of the park project is going to be the lakeshore portion that they have to finish first. So they're gonna have to go across the trail to do that construction, and when they finish that in June, then those barriers will put up to separate the completed area with what they move on to now, where they're spreading out all the soil and raising the grade. So there's gonna be a time where that trailway access is gonna be impacted while they do the lakeshore work.
So are they gonna put up a barrier on either side like
Yes,
they typically do,
Trail
block the
closed,
sidewalk kind of thing, so that there's some indication of that?
yeah, we should man that. We don't want anybody to get in the way of a skid steer that's moving back and forth.
Yeah.
And they should probably have a temporary gate on that road that goes straight back, because there were folks on Sunday driving it and then going down that trail that people walk their dogs on,
Yes,
parking just off of it, fishing, and I have a feeling after Memorial Day that I could get highly active.
you'd be surprised at how many times I've looked out the back window and a car goes from the apartment buildings along the trailway and then they park at Cabin Creek. And so we've been trying to, people go and they move the boulders out of the way down by the apartments.
The boulders?
Yeah, there's boulders that keep, a minimal width to allow, Kelly, Jeremy's fleet to get through there if they have to. People would move the boulders out of the way so that they could drive their cars.
Geez,
Well, unbelievable.
so has these concerns be brought up to the sheriff's office too, because if,
Yeah.
you
We have.
got your memo,
That's cool.
that I expect at Straley's next presentation later this month, that they're also gonna be talking to us about some, traffic enforcement, some parking enforcement. That area maybe in particular, but anywhere, so we expect the sheriff's office to be a little bit proactive and
Yep.
being in our community and taking some of those, because a lot of that has just been by the wayside.
And I've got information tonight that will help contribute to that.
Okay.
And you remember there, should have received a couple notes from me when the ice was an issue and there were people on the ice, we would send the deputies
Yeah.
out there to enforce that too.
So maybe they need to be aware that.
Yep, they've been very responsive to this point. Very happy.
The other thing outside of Ward 3, just real quick, I know we were aware from an email from New Dennis, but then I've also had some conversations with a lot of people, probably more in Ward 1 about the food truck issue. And so not tonight, but I think we need to put that on one of our work session agendas. We've had some complaints. We know that we changed that code with the intention of seeing how it went and knowing what other modifications we needed to do to it. So I'd like us to revisit that.
I can jump in on that a little bit because we've already started to work on that. So we've already started the process to come up with some suggestions on tweaking the ordinance, but we're gonna start that with the BPC because that's where it originated before. So we're gonna go to the BPC with some ideas on how to make the ordinance a little bit better. And then based on what they recommend to you, then you're gonna see it for a work session. But one bigger issue there that Jerry and I recently were talking about is that the board can enact these ordinances and then they're on the books and then we move on to the next ordinance. But Jerry and I want to institute a process by which the year after the ordinance has been in effect, you take a look at how that ordinance is functioning and then either decide to direct me to come and Jerry to come up with some tweaks of that ordinance or to say, working great, we love it, keep going. So we're gonna have that written up for you to adopt as a standard operating procedure for the board. And we're hoping that we can keep that going. So every year you're looking at the ordinances as they come up on their anniversary and confirm whether you're going in the right direction or whether you want us to work on changing that. So it's kind of a silver lining in terms of talking about the mobile food trucks because it's got us to talking about other things. But back to the original question, we're gonna go to the BPC and bring that to you so you can see what kind of tweaks we have. And I've already reached out to some of the people who have been vocal with all of you about the mobile food trucks and asked for their input so that they can offer firsthand what impacts it's had on their business and what kind of tangible things that they've experienced.
I'd really like to see more of that communicated to us on the board before it gets to a level of more chaos. If you're getting complaints about things that are going around in town, rather than staff trying to handle it, the board needs to be aware of that because those do become policy issues. And
I agree with you and I
they're
do that.
policymakers. Right.
I do that. This last thing with the mobile food truck, let me clarify, the town had received no formal complaints about the food trucks.
formal isn't where we're at here, okay? This is a
Right.
small community and there are enough complaints that have come through. And what's a formal complaint? Is there a form that says formal complaint on it, or is it an email or a phone call? And when you're getting more than one, then it's taken to a level where
Okay.
this board needs to be aware so that we aren't caught off guard. And we can say at least we're planning on addressing it. It's in our queue.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I'm
Thank you,
done.
Mary.
Thank you. Rich, did you have a report?
No, we would have, and I don't think we're gonna have an April meeting for the fire authority.
Okay. Just timing or something, or?
They just didn't really have much of an agenda
Okay.
for this coming Wednesday.
All right, very good. Mike, did you have anything that you wanted to report?
Nothing new. I
Okay,
think most of those cover actually, PDC.
all right, thank you. And Amanda?
I went to my first parks meeting and it was super fun. Even though I couldn't vote yet, I still had a blast and I'm really excited to be on that commission. That's pretty much all I have.
All right, very good, thank you. Dwayne?
We're still what Keisha actually got, which was kind of the same as what I got. Us starting at Monday, April sixth, we discussed upcoming like compliance proposal, employee benefits, our HA scheduled meetings and elections. And the upcoming house and companies, and the new director, it started this last Monday, Erica could be, I think that's how you say her name, I'm not sure. So hopefully, over our next couple of meetings, she'll be able to come and speak. Also, and I think he'll speak in Evergreen next Thursday. They're talking about affordable housing, which could be interesting. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Very good, thank you so much. All right, Jerry, Alex, did you have anything? Is he muted, or do we know if he's there?
He's muted and unmutes himself.
Okay,
He can talk if we pass him.
do you think he can hear me now? Does he have anything you want us to add for his reports? Okay, we'll move on. If he chimes in, let us know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So Jerry, apologies. Would you like to go with your report?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And staff reports are in your packet, or the first one is from Bridget Court, Town Clerk. You've got a lot in here, Bridget. I know you have your boss with you today, so I know that you're under the gun. Any comments for Bridget? Any questions, any color wanted on her report?
Can you jump in a little bit and Bridget, next, give us more background on the permitting for the s'mores and the training and 4th of July and the Strauss Park booths?
Sure, for the s'mores, a couple upcoming events in May and June are going to require in-flight sound and special event liquor permits. These are town sponsored events, so the town will be getting those permits. So I've applied and I'm going through the permitting process for those, so be on the lookout for Anna's marketing materials. There's one on May 9th and one on June 20th that are going to have some music, and the one on the 20th is gonna offer some cocktails. For the Cassell training, I got some training on lodging tax and business tax module, so I can just as a part of our larger cross training efforts. For the 4th of July, CCMRD is looking to host a small event at. They still have to fill out their special event permit, which is going to outline exactly what the event includes, but it's no street closures, amplified sound, and a town facilities reservation, and then a special event application. So they're in the works on that, and it will be a supplemental event for, in addition to the parade, so.
Where is that gonna be?
Is that the paddle thing down at the lake?
I wanna say it's down by the lake, but she didn't give a ton of details in her email.
Okay.
She just requested the special event application, so when I have more information on that, I'll be sure to add more color, and I may have a little bit more information than I do thus far, but I don't think so.
And then the Strauss Park booths permits?
Yes, so we had a business owner reach out interested in reserving a booth at Strauss Park, a couple of days over the summer. And I've been working with her, she needed a business license, so she got her business license and is now going to proceed with applying via the town reservation application permit application, to try to reserve a booth for a couple of days during the summer to sell, her wares. But we're excited about that. I think, if we can utilize those booths during the summer for vendors and businesses, that would be really fun.
Can we, and maybe this is part of it, can we have a standing application, or that, at least that we know we checked off all the boxes for some more
S'mores, yeah.
specifically, where music can be, the amplified music can be played. Not the beverages, because it's typically hot chocolate or the s'mores piece. You know, for the, I mean, truly for the entire year, I suppose. And if we have s'mores that Saturday or whatever, fantastic, and if we don't have it that day, so that we're not, there's consistency in that, I understand.
Yeah, that's
Mom
something.
Jams does it for library stage, so they've got just one sound permit for all the times, can we?
So that's something that we were talking about when this came up, because, a business that is sponsoring the event wanted to add some supplemental music and drinks and stuff, and how do we navigate that? This is a town event, but they're adding to it. And we determined that it's a town event, so we're gonna get the permits, and Anna's going to refine her sponsor application for the S'mores on Sixth event, so that people include kind of, if they want to add supplemental stuff to the event, that we have the opportunity to proceed with the proper permitting procedures. And then that also, Keisha and I started discussing potentially amending the amplified sound permitting process. As a whole, or for s'mores on, like for town sponsored event types of things for the commercial district, so that's something we're definitely talking about.
Okay, cause I mean, s'mores started off as more of a BPC town type activity, and then getting the sponsorships in, I would wanna see us deterring that opportunity for different
Right.
groups.
And I was wondering if there was a way to have, like, for example, a sound permit for every s'mores. Just part of the s'mores event, you're allowed to have
Yeah.
sound.
Standing.
And then whether a person uses sound or not, that's fine. Obviously, liquor would be handled separately, but can we do that? Can we just say like, hey, every s'mores event is okay for sound permit?
We can do whatever's expedient and better for the event. I mean,
I
we're,
think that would be
kind of
good.
taking our lead with how Christmas market operates, right? You have a number of vendors that fall under the Christmas market umbrella, and we're trying to create this ease of use by people, if they want to sponsor or host, they can fit under the town's umbrella, and we have this all set up for the whole summer. So that's the intention.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's what I think, it would be easier for s'mores with that.
But we've had some bumps in the road
Yeah.
for that ease of use, so as long as we're working with that and we're
Yeah,
talking
our ultimate goal is to make people be able to execute whatever ideas they want to as a
There
sponsor.
you go.
And so we're figuring out the process right now. We know that it like, we haven't refined it 100%, but that's our ultimate goal.
I mean, we have to play by the rules too.
Sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so it's on us to make sure that we're doing that and. You know, but benefiting, you know, everyone else.
The
Okay.
evolution here to know is important to know. When I got here a year ago, the s'mores was kind of a hit or miss thing, right?
Right.
And the BPC may have done it, but it wasn't happening. There was nobody that was available to run it. And then Georgia stepped up and then started to catch on, and more people wanted to be a part of it. The people that were visitors would show up, and the crowds were bigger and bigger and bigger, and now the hosts and the sponsors are, let me host, let me sponsor. So we are kind of learning this as we go,
Right.
and yes, we want
But
to.
isn't that kudos on the town though, that,
Yes.
that it was brought to that, and so.
I
you
would
know,
also point out that our neighbors to the east, who don't usually copy a lot of what we do, are also now doing
I
a
yeah,
s'more
and
series
Sunday,
on Sundays. They do Sunday s'mores in Idaho Springs.
but we're not advertising that, we're only
No.
talking about Georgetown.
No,
That is.
that's a
that's
Friday.
And farmers market.
Well, thank you very much, Bridget, for all of that. Any other questions for Bridget?
Well, and then are you thinking that for booth rental, you're gonna come up with a standard deal too? Cause if you put those things, you post them down there with QR codes, it may get, where people can get the information and what it takes. That may, help promote the use of those.
Oh, the stress park
parts.
booths.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
Want to bring
Thank you.
a different fee schedule to you guys for renting a booth, because the $30 for little group. That'll speak to one
Yeah.
booth.
Yeah.
We'd rather do like $25 a day.
That's a good idea. That's good, because that's what I've been saying to people.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And
so
then
thank you
also
for.
have people, and the calendar will be something we have to be really careful about. Big events, we use Strauss Park, and want to make sure people aren't signing up for weekends where there's a bigger event.
Right. These people.
Thank you.
That kind of stuff.
Thank you. All right, Q, you have a report. I know that you were gonna present a Q126, Q126. Thank you. All right, got you. Thank you for translating. I didn't see that on our, there you go. You have it right there. Thank you. Hot off the press. Well, it's not hot. And then I'll put one for Alex there too. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I've seen. So.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. This is a format that, hopefully, you don't like it. Then we can, or if you have other things that you want to see on this report, let me know.
So I imagine we can come back to your questions, obviously, because there's a lot here to digest. Really appreciate you putting this together. Thank you. I think it's gonna be great to wade through this. Does anyone have any quick questions for Q? Otherwise, I'm thinking we can take our time, come back in our next meeting with any questions, or obviously email Q with any questions you have as you're reading it. Oh, is that Alex trying to? Yeah. I know you hit the highlights, but are there certain things that you want to draw our attention to as we go through this?
When you look through the report, you're gonna notice there's some zeros. In fact, there's a lot of zeros. There's some reports that other entities reported to us or admitted to us, and those reports, some of them don't come in until the third quarter of the year.
Okay,
I'm
on the
working-
budget worksheets, yeah.
I'm working with Cell and Lorraine on why some of our things like the sales tax isn't reflected.
Okay.
Or the lodging tax that we collect from the STRs themselves isn't updated in Excel, trying to figure out why that's not updated.
On the left.
All right, thank you. Did Alex,
Maybe.
sorry, thank you. Did Alex have anything, Keisha, are we missing?
He just requested that we put a copy in his box.
It's right here, yeah, I got it, okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Q? Thank you. Okay, definitely take your time and look at this, that's great. Our next report is gonna be the Assistant Town Administrator, Keisha.
Hello. I was just at the community center. We opened it today as a shelter for victims of the 78-car pileup at I-70 Eisenhower. No fatalities, no major injuries, so
Amazing.
amazing, very good. But we ended up getting 17 people at the community center. There were a total of 35 people that they shuttled down, but a lot of them skipped us and went down to Morrison, so Yeah, so 17 people. Yay, community center.
Yay.
Lacrosse is cleaning up right now. I abandoned her to come to the meeting, so. But just wanted you guys to know that I think that whole effort went very smoothly. The Office of Emergency Management reached out to us, and state troopers had a booth in there to get statements from everybody, and Loveland was a great partner, shuttling people around, so. Very up to date, yeah,
Good work.
on everybody's part, so.
And I heard that media showed up, 511 Rose had media in there, I know you mentioned it,
Yeah.
so that
Chip
was something.
Williams had 7,
that's good press.
and Olivia, we kicked her out. She was like in there trying to sneaky interview people, we were like, you have to go outside.
Oh.
We did talk to her after we sort of checked everybody in, so, she was very understanding, but of course they wanna know.
Sure, of course.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, 511 open for people. I don't know that they got any business from that necessarily, because people were kind of shaken up and they were trying to sort of recover and then get in their car and go home, so.
Yeah.
But everybody got a ride, everybody got a hotel, everybody is now out of the community center, so.
Okay. Well, good, well, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Any questions for Keisha on her staff report? Your first bullet, you discussed the upcoming Lakeview Flats proposal with the housing authority, like specifically what?
Lakeview Flats has approached the housing authority with a separate project. I think it's actually the same thing they brought to us when, a couple of years ago, where they want to do a grant for new homeowners. And they need a pass through basically for that, so they're talking to the housing authority about that.
Or mentioned it during the time that you talked about.
That's-
The reduction of $70,000 off the purchase price.
But it's not here then, somewhere else throughout the county.
I'm sorry?
That's fine. Then on the express bill pay, you got the information here, 250 customers registered, 152 on auto pay. How many customers do we have? Total? 3?
670.
Okay. And then the onsale.
Yes, Anna and I had a training on that last week, and we are working on a communication plan. She and I talked about it, and we both think that OnSolve is going to be effective for people signing up for event notifications. They can sign up for like smaller utility notices, like if we do a road closure, we can put that out. And there's some amount of like, people can sign up for what they want to know about, so like. We could do a meeting subscription, you wanna be notified, EPC is having a meeting. And we can send that out, and then there's also, like, you can cover areas and say, everyone here gets a notice, whether they want it or not, so. Well, they have to sign up for it, but they don't have to sign up for specifically everything for like an emergency, they're in our system. In certain areas, so. Obviously, we still have lookout alert with the county, so if a real emergencies, we'll get that notice. And for things like your water main is shut off, that we think is urgent, that we want people to know about, they don't have to subscribe necessarily, but it'll be. You know, we can have a text 1172 to this number to subscribe for Christmas market notifications and things like that, so it's pretty flexible as far as
Take
what we can.
screenshot.
There we are. Alex, we heard you.
Oh, hi. I finally
Hi.
managed to make it work, have I? Apologies for my just being on Zoom. Anyway,
Okay. So we'd like to have a work session that we had discussed. Right,
exactly.
So a couple of months ago. It sounds like maybe that work session would be more effective for us if it's after the training that you receive, but before all those decisions are made. This board needs to be
Yeah.
involved in that, please.
So we'll do a communication plan and bring that for you to look through, so you have some more concrete things.
Slow
to
process.
look at. Yeah,
And then have you looked at other similar kinds of communication systems just to compare to OnSolve?
This is a contract that was signed.
I remember.
Several years ago, and I
Right.
wasn't part of that process, so.
But bringing it current, I know one of the things you were gonna do is come to us, hey, here's what Onso was looking at. Was any part of that looking at any other systems? It doesn't sound like it.
We did look at other systems.
Okay.
You know, a few years ago, it was something that I remember Jen working on and talking to me about, but it was,
So it was a couple of years ago when that was done.
yes, Lookout Alert is a similar one, but they require a level of training that I don't think is reasonable for our staff to use it, so.
Okay, so yeah, so we'll look forward to that in our work session or report. I think we're going for a work session, Dennis, and then you mentioned maybe getting a report instead, so I'm not sure what we're looking at here.
When this came up, the board asked Asia for a report on the services that would be offered, so.
We asked her for a work
She
session.
has done, so she has done that, and we also, in discussing that, we thought that there's a big piece missing here if we're gonna have the PIO involved. And that's having a communication plan that the board is satisfied with, that integrates with the service. So now Anna is being trained, so she understands what the service offers. So she can put together the communication plan, which will come with Asia's or memo that you asked for originally, Anna's recommendations on what the PIO could do, and it'll be at a work session, so you can discuss all that in its totality, and then give us direction where you want fund to go on it.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Katia.
Any other questions in my report?
All right, very good. Anna, I know you're online and your events staff report is next. Glad to see you here.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh, hello.
Oh,
I don't know how detailed to be, so you're gonna have to be patient with me. I'm gonna start off with the tourism booklet that Georgia mentioned before. That is in the final content development and design phase. So we're working with the graphic designer to make sure that the different municipalities are not just throwing in random things. We're all putting in cohesive types of things that meet the demographic. So I actually have our meeting with them tomorrow. So that will be the next phase for us is to have that meeting and then go back to the design committee. You should have received an invite from myself and the rest of the town staff to the opening of the pass, which is on Thursday. We received notice from the county last week that that would be moved up, and so we also decided to move up the opening ceremony since it was such a long distance between the two events. So I hope you all will be there. We have added some things. We'll have refreshments, we'll have music, an honorary motorcycle ride. So it will hopefully be a sunny day for the event, less like the weather we've had today. And then summer events are in full swing for planning. Things like Memorial Day, 4th of July, Colorado Day. We're looking at our full summer marketing and event initiatives right now. So really just trying to look at different resources. I am not the most experienced in this realm in Georgetown yet because I haven't been here for a summer. So trying to get a lot of historical context and build from there. And then brand development, we're looking at continuing our brand. The BPC did approve a brand identity guideline for us. We are looking at building on that now. As we kind of take those colors and all of those icons and stuff, we will develop that to hopefully establish more of a consistent brand that can be used for years to come. And then, like we just talked about on Solve, I am starting trainings tomorrow, so I will look at hopefully all of the ins and outs over the next couple weeks. My last training is on April 30th, so I can't promise you that I'm going to be an expert after my intro tomorrow, but hopefully I will have a much better understanding of the system and kind of the ins and outs over the next couple weeks.
Great, thank you, Anna. Any questions for Anna? All right, thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And Mr. Anniversary Man, Dennis, Town Administrator report.
Thank you. I'm gonna lead off with the best news, and that is that the sheriff's office is going to be assigning 2 Georgetown deputies starting May 1st.
Okay.
And that is gonna be good. I sent you an email outlining that, and it has the names. I think it's Aaron and Justice were the first two deputies. And then the third deputy, they anticipate being able to assign Georgetown in mid-July after the new trainees they have entering the program are going to be completing their TO training. Safe Built is gonna start their code enforcement activities on April 23rd, and then they will be doing that every other Thursday following that. We have set up a planned program with Safe Built that we're gonna try to focus on one particular enforcement issue each time they're in town on Thursday. But that doesn't preclude that if they find something in their travels around town, that they would note that and put that on. And just so you know, their process is to identify those, create friendly letters of reminder to property owners that would ask them to remediate the issue that we have identified. And then they will track that, report that to me, and if the remediation does not occur, then it will go to the next level of enforcement, which will be another communication that says if you don't have it done by this date certain, it's gonna be referred over for enforcement in the court. The equipment for the road and bridge and parks department and two pieces of equipment from the utility. You recall you approved that as obsolete and gave us the okay to go to auction. That's all been moved down the hill. And the auction is scheduled for April 29th. So we're hoping that the day after that, we'll be able to report to you what the anticipated proceeds of the sale of that equipment is. In the past, the Parks Department has taken delivery of our flowers for the year. On the day after Memorial Day, we had a meeting this morning and we decided to move that up to the Thursday before the Memorial Day weekend, so we could deck out the town and put on our best face for all the people that come to visit the town for Memorial Day weekend. And then also the latest on the gazebo is I have a meeting with Tom Peterson tomorrow. He's agreed to do the construction design work for us. And so we're gonna meet, talk about that, get a cost associated with that. And you might remember that Tom also has some hours that he owes the town from a previous project, and he's gonna credit us for that. He's very excited about doing this for us because he understands how the value of the gazebo is to the town. Once he has that done, we're gonna have a structural engineer sign off on the plans, and then it will accompany our RFP for a contractor to start the build. We're hoping to have the construction done in the 30-day period. That would put us right up there prior to the 4th of July, which is our goal. If, however, we can't make the 4th of July because of weather or just because of unanticipated circumstances, at the very least, we're gonna have the gazebo transformed so that it can be used for the 4th of July music and the band and everything, and put on our best face for that. So that's the gazebo's latest update.
DRC factors into that too, someone?
Absolutely, yes. We've already had a number of conversations with people on the DRC, like Bob Hamilton, the elder, Cindy Neely, and some others that
Like Lenny the elder.
you have to say who it is, or you just don't know the organization.
I provided some comments from the DRC and the Parks Commission on my staff report on the gazebo. So they both discussed their preferences for the architecture. And the Parks Commission also wanted to add that they would like to see an accessibility added to the gazebo.
Thank you, Kasia. Well, thank you. That sounds great. Any questions for Dennis, Mr. Anniversary? We thank you for all that you do. All right, so we reach this time. Do I have that motion? Is that Mary? What time is it? 8 o'clock, 8:01? Amanda seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We are.